Hello and welcome to part 2 in our point and click adventure style camera movement. In the last episode I showed you a neat way of how you can handle camera movement in a first person view in an adventure game, allowing you to click on elements in a scene to travel to them. In this episode we're going to work on the breadcrumb trail of being able to backtrack along the cameras that you've previously visited. So you hit a button, it will take you back to your previous camera and down the chain. So we need a way to remember which camera we've been to and travel to it when we push that button. So let's get started. Okay, so last time we got the camera system sort of working, so now we're going to work on creating that UI button to take us back to previous cameras. So in our player controller we're going to store in there what camera we last clicked on, and we're going to store that in a form of an array. That way we can daisy chain back to the previous cameras all the way through the level. So we're going to go to custom player controller and create that in here. So let's open the full blueprint editor, go to variables, and we'll do this one as cam array. And this will be the type of our adventure cam. Click that, and we'll make that an array. Now, for us to be able to detect when we've clicked and entered a new camera, we need to be able to tell this particular player controller that we've done so. So we're going to create a custom event in here. And we're going to go, we'll make a forward cam, we'll call it. And forward cam is going to take one input, and that input is going to be the cam that we are forwarding to, or from rather. It'll be adventure cam, like so. And that cam is going to be added to this cam array. I'm going to do add to cam array. And that's all we need to do there. We can go back to adventure cam, and on the actor on clicked, when we've clicked on this, we're going to drag out and cast to our custom player controller. And the object for this will be our get player controller. Like so. So now from here, I can call that forward cam. And this will store the cam that we're currently in. So if I drag the cam here and do self, we're adding this current camera to the camera array. So all I need to do to go back a camera is to take the top one off the list and move backwards. So we're going to hit save, and we're done here. Let's create the UI for this. Create a new widget blueprint, and this will be adventure UI. And in here, we're going to have a button in the corner of the canvas. I'm going to put that in the bottom left and anchor it in the Y alignment 1, and change position Y to -50, position here in X to 50. That just tucks it in nicely into the corner here like that. And we're going to drag in some text in here. And this text is going to be saying, go back. I'm going to change that to a black text. Okay. And on button 32, we're going to go over here and tick size to content. There you go. So if you want to add some padding to this, make it a bit fancier, you can do. I'm just going to add padding to mine. But obviously you can do like images and anything else you want. Add padding of 30 to it. So the job of this button is to go look at that array and go back to the previous camera. So when you look at this button, go down to the bottom. If it's selected that it helps, go to on clicked, add the little green button, and it will create the on clicked event for the button that you made. On here, we need to get the player controller and cast to our controller. Plug that in. Like that. Okay, so now we need to make a function on our controller to go back a cam. So let's go to our controller and go back cam. Custom event, backwards cam. And we don't need an input for this one because we know we've got the information here. And all we're going to do is get our cam array. And we need to get the last one in that array. So you're going to get the last index. And from that index, we're going to find or get from the cam array. So hang on, get a copy of that last index, and that'll be the one that you're currently viewing. Okay, because we clicked on it, we're going to the current one we're looking at. What I want to do is remove this one, and then remove the remove this one, and then go to the previous one at the now last index. So let's first of all remove the one from here. So I'm going to take cam array and do remove index. Plug that into there, and the index is coming from the last index. We then want to take from the get here, and we're going to do set view target. Set view target with blend, and plug that into new view target. Now, because the last index has been removed first, the new last index is going to be referred to here. So should go to the one previously. Hit compile. Oh, sorry, put in a blend time of 1 second. There we go. Hit compile, and that should handle that for us. So let's just add that UI to the game. We're going to go begin play and do create widget, and I'm going to choose our adventure UI, and I'm just going to add that promote variable and add that to viewport. There we go. So now it's added the UI to the screen so the player can see the button. So I'm going to go back to my adventure UI, and from the cast to custom player controller, I should now be able to call that backwards cam function. And there we go. So let's test that out. Push play, and let's go over to this camera, and then over to that camera, go back, and go back. Now, the first one won't go back to anything because the first one obviously was nothing. So the first one doesn't exist. So we have to make it be able to go back to there when we don't have that first one available to us. So how can we do that? Well, we need to just first of all test to see if we actually have a cam available to us. So when we do this backwards cam event, we want to check if that is a valid index before we do the set view target. Let's do that and do is valid index, and again drag in the last index here, and we're going to put that into a branch at the front of this here, and we also want to do it again, another branch after we remove it as well. Remember that remove is updating that last index for us, so we don't need to do anything else to it. So it'll check it before it removes it, and then it'll check it again before it goes to the next one. Now, if it isn't available at all, nothing will happen. And also, if there's nothing that we can go back to, obviously nothing will happen. So all we need to do now is add that cam to the list by using forward cam here. And we've done that on the blueprint of the level. So we go to open level blueprint, and then we can play. We've got this adventure cam here, which is the first cam. And get the player controller, cast to our custom controller. And we're going to call that forward cam. And the cam is going to come from our adventure cam reference. Okay, so target is the player controller and cam is the cam reference we've got. So one error we've got is that when we click on the last index here and check it, if we're on the first camera, we're going to check to see if the last index exists, which it does on the very first one. Remove index is going to remove it. And then it won't do this bit, obviously. But now the next one won't be valid. Okay, so if we go forwards, sure, it's never going to be going back properly the way we want. So the more times I click that button, the less cameras I can go back to, essentially. So what I need to do is make sure that I can't remove the index if it is a length of 1. So I'm going to check if it is valid and whether or not the camera array's length is greater than 1. And that would be an and here. And that and is just going to go into there and also into the second branch as well. So now I can go forwards and I can go back. But remember last time we turned off the collision on the thing when we went back, when we went forwards. What I need to do is when I go back, I need to turn collision on the one we just removed. So let's go back to our custom player controller and take a look at our backwards cam. Now when we call this, we want to tell it to enable the other camera, the other camera's plane. So before we remove the one that we're currently on here, we need to tell it to do something. So we're going to just move this along a little bit, give us a bit of space. It's getting a bit messy now. And I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just drag out more of these here and here, just to break up a little bit. Okay, so I'll tell you what, we'll also do that here. Last index, put that there. Just make it a bit tidier so I don't have lines going everywhere. There's the last index as well. There we go. Okay, so we need to turn it back on. So the cam, before we remove it from the index here, we need to get the exact one we want to do. So we're going to go cam here and do get a copy. And we're going to plug in the last index into the get there. And on this get, we need to re-enable that plane. So we can get the plane. And scroll down, you'll find the reference to the plane. And then in there, we're going to do set collision enabled to query only. Plug that all in and compile and save that. So now let's test that out. We can go forwards, we can go backwards, and we can go forwards again. And there we have it. So all I need to do is just tidy this up, make it a little bit neater. So we'll make these into a little bit of functions. So here we'll make this into a collapsed function. We'll do check last index. I'll go into there. This one will enable, we go collapse to function, enable last cam. I'll go into there. This branch here be fine, and then set view target will be there. Okay, cool, brilliant. A little bit tidier, not as messy. And that's it. Okay, so now we've got a whole camera system that allows us to go forwards, backwards, and so forth. And let's do a couple more examples of what you could do with the camera system here. So as much as I've got it going this way, we could actually go the other way around too. So if I just drag this camera here around the other side, like so. Reposition myself. And again, we're going to click on that starting camera there, pin it, then click on the new camera and tell the plane not to be hidden in game. So we can position it correctly. There we go. And don't forget to enable hidden in game again. Hit play. I can now go to this camera and go to this one, go back. That's fine. And we even do close-ups as well. So let's go and do a close-up one. So I'm going to drag out another camera. Got this one here. Drag this out. And we're going to look at this statue's face in detail. I'm going to go to the camera settings. And we're going to change their field of view down a bit. Like that. And then I'm going to pin that camera and go back to the starting camera, and I'll make it so that you can only go to it from this camera. So I click on that new one and go to its plane, hidden in game, turn that off. So you need to pin this camera, not that one. Not that one, pin this one. So now on this camera here, I click on the plane and I move it to somewhere that makes sense. And I don't want it to take up as much space as the other two, so this will be a lot smaller. And probably a lot closer, because I can play with the Z depth on here too, to do various things like that. So, oh, don't forget turn off hidden. Turn back on hidden, sorry. And I'll click on here and it'll zoom right into their face, go back, and so on and so forth. And there we have it. Thank you so much for watching this little two-parter. Now, this is just the start of a point-and-click adventure game. If you want to see more from a point-and-click adventure game genre, just let me know in the comments below what kind of content you'd like to see in it. Would you like items to be picked up, inspections, those sorts of things? Just let me know what you know, and I'll see if I can add it into this series to make it a more full-fledged thing. If you want to see more of my video content before anyone else and want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/Ryan Laley, where the supporters over there are the reason why we can do this sort of videos. So thank you so much to all my patrons, members and YouTube members for their continued support. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for any future content videos coming out every single week. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.